Delta FosB, transcription factor, and pornography addiction. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. Let me tell you about it. Someone on my YouTube live last week said that my favorite word is neurotransmitter, and actually I hadn't really thought of that, but I do say it a lot in this context. Actually, I think my favorite word is dude. I use the word dude a lot, which I think probably shines through a tiny bit in these videos when I'm being the voice of porn, because I know when I'm being the voice of porn, I always go, dude, I got a good idea. Let's go watch some porn. But I would argue dude's probably my favorite word. Anyway, when we're talking about Delta FosB in this video, it is a transcription factor that goes along and kind of is related to the neurotransmitters that your brain is looking for from pornography. So in this video, we're going to talk about Delta FosB, how it impacts your need to go back for more porn, and what you can do to try to leave it behind, and why you need to leave the habit behind forever because of what Delta FosB does to your brain. Okay, so Delta FosB is a transcription factor. Basically, the way that it works is when you start your habit, it lays down the tracks of what I always refer to as the left fork in the road. The left fork in the road is the path that leads back to pornography and masturbation. It's the one that your brain has been taking for a long time. So when your habit was initialized, what happened was a molecular switch. That's what the research refers to Delta FosB as. The switch was flipped that basically made laying these neural pathways, this track down the left fork in your brain was laid, and this transcription factor was kind of like concrete laying itself down that fork in the road, which is why it's so easy for your brain to go back down that road. Literally, it was concreted in with this transcription factor saying, it told your brain, hey dude, it said, dude, you know how great it feels when we go down this pathway, when we go back and we watch more pornography and we make it more intense and we spend more time doing it? That's Delta FosB telling you this pathway is so easy. So it will be even more difficult to leave that fork in the road behind and take the right fork in the road, because the left fork has concrete over it. And the Delta FosB is the concrete. So as we start to lay the pathway for a new healthy brain that stays away from pornography and seeks out connection and sexuality in the world, we have to weed over that pathway to the left, but it's concrete. It's not just dirt. It can totally happen because we're going to create cracks in that pathway. And if you've ever seen weeds growing up in the cracks of the concrete in the sidewalk, we can do it. It just is going to take more effort, which is why some of you are struggling with withdrawal symptoms and side effects. We can do it, but you have to take the path less traveled every single time. And then, of course, as we rewire your brain, this path is going to be easier to take. That one's going to start growing over. But it's essential that you always take the path to the right from here on out, and you try to take the path to the left as least as possible and then let it grow over completely, knowing that Delta FosB, what the science shows, is it doesn't go away completely. Once the switch is flipped, it can be difficult or impossible. And I'm going to say difficult because I don't think anything's impossible. Difficult to flip that switch back down. But we have to overgrow the pathway and not take it anymore. That's the slippery slope of pornography. That is why it's sleuthy. That is why you need to stay away from it for the rest of your life, because people ask me all the time, can't I just get this habit under control and then establish a healthy masturbation habit and then look at porn every once in a while? You can't, because if you go down the slippery slope and you masturbate and it's going to lead you back to the screen, and the screen is going to then pull the weeds out from between the cracks in the concrete, that concrete pathway will be so easy to just regroove in if you go down the pathway again. You have to leave that pathway behind forever. The good news is that pathway just leads to a brain that's not working well. It leads to anxiety and depression. It leads to a strained relationship because You find your partner less attractive. It leads to erectile dysfunction. There's nothing good at the end of that pathway except for instant gratification. Now, this pathway, the pathway less traveled, guess what's down there? Happiness with lots of serotonin, a honey on your side with lots of oxytocin coupling you to that honey, breaking multi-generational patterns of addiction and dysfunction. You're going to save your kids from the same fate that you're in right now if you're sucked into this habit. There's only goodness, your full potential, getting on purpose in your work and your relationships and in your hobbies, and a life that's filled with dopamine producing activities all day long, so you don't even want to escape into anything. That's what's at the end of the path less traveled. So let's do this thing. Leave the concrete path behind. Start taking the path less traveled, the one that you were meant to take. If you want help in that journey, please reach out to me at drtrishleigh.com. I have programs that I've been building. They're beautiful. They're comprehensive. They're filled with neuroscience. They're filled with strategies that work. They will help you succeed. Go on over to my website, check them out, and if you'd like help, I am here for you. I'd like to help you. Remember, control your brain or it'll control you.